Okay, Ramana says, as often as one tries to surrender, the ego raises its head, and one has to try to suppress it. Surrender is not an easy thing. Killing the ego is not an easy thing. It is only when God Himself, by His grace, draws the mind inwards that complete surrender can be achieved. But such grace comes only to those who have already, in this or previous lives, gone through all the struggles and sadhanas preparatory to the extinction of the mind and killing of the ego.
What can I say to that? You know, I mean, I believe it's absolutely accurate. I mean, that's so well said that I just don't feel like adding to it.
Yeah, for me, the conversational topic of that is kind of a word play. How can you kill the ego?
Well, if the ego were it would be suicide, first of all. And most egos just aren't suicidal. And if the ego were successful in killing the ego, I believe that somewhere else in that book or other Ramana books it says that what you would be left with is a killer. So,
I mean, the body can be killed.
Right.
We see a dead body, it's not breathing.
Right.
But the ego, can it finally, once and for all, be killed and die? Because this direct quote suggests that there is an end to the ego.
Yeah, I believe there's an end to being fixated on the ego, because when we're fixated on the ego, we're struggling under the belief that the ego is real. Self-inquiry will show us finally that the ego is not, it's a phantom. It's a wave, it's a shadow. It has no intrinsic reality. It has no independent reality of its own. And the definition of the ego is that it's somehow or another that I stop here. I stop at this skin. That this is me and everything else is not me. That's the egoic stance. When we see that it just becomes revealed to us that that isn't true anymore, then we discover that we're not some separate entity who is trying its butt off to kill itself and to be here now. Basically, it's not something that's trying to be here now. What you discover is that you're now itself. And that this now that you are contains everything that's possible to experience or know. It's all contained within this nowness that you are. Now isn't a place where you're not. It's who you are. Now itself.
Are there a lot of the people coming to this so easily nowadays?
I don't know how easily, you know, and I just know, for me it was a real revelation to know, for that knowledge to dawn, that now wasn't a place where I'm not. Now, we relegate now to just being a little tiny moment in time. The idea that now is just a little tiny slice of time, that it's subjective to time, is basically an egoic. That's an egoic function. Now isn't a slice of time. Time, the illusion of time, shows up in now, within the context of now. It's your subjective experience. Aren't you always? Isn't it always now? It's always now. And you're not different than that. The now that you are contains everything.
I mean, there's individuality is happening as well.
The illusion of individuality is happening within you as now. You know, this character, you know,
yeah.
an ant will crawl across the table. You know, it'll be happening now. It's happening. It's an experience that's happening within you.
Why do some? I mean, there may not be an answer to this question. I just want to hear your answer.
Okay.
You know, I just want to know your take on it. But why do some beings spend 22 years in a cave in silence, and others go to a few satsangs and then, you know, start declaring that they're completely liberated? Like, what is going on with that? I'm still confused.
Well, it's
I
a
don't
mystery.
understand.
I think that the excerpt you just read a little earlier from Ramana said either in this lifetime or previous lifetimes. So although it may not be readily apparent that a soul is ripe for realization, and this is kind of the stock answer. I don't know that this is true, what I'm saying right now, but the stock answer is that basically a person has expended their effort either in previous or this lifetime. And maybe it seems easy in this lifetime because the effort was expended in a previous lifetime. That's an answer, but it isn't an answer from my experience. It's not something I know. It's something
theory.
It's something I read.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't know. That's the real answer.
So when it's all said and done, you're not interested in theory anymore.
No, I'm not interested in theory. I'm not interested in intellectual parsing. I'm not interested in anything except what's so right here, right now. And this interest is 100%, or approaching that, because to the degree that I'm not concerned with the memory of me, which is the ego, you know, I'm here with what's happening. And it's not an egoic accomplishment. It's just a fact that if time isn't being wasted, you know, supporting this idea of me, it's available. You know, the energy is available to attend to what's so right now.
So there's nothing to achieve.
No.
There's no goal.
Finally, you see it. But if you say that at the beginning, the effort won't get expended. So it's paradoxical. It's a real slippery deal. If effort seems to be required, make the effort. When the effort drops away and the ego can no longer effort, as in the case of Papaji we mentioned earlier, then Papaji, the ripeness, the fruit has gotten ripe and it's falling from the tree.
Well, I thank you for your time and your generosity to sit with me.
Thank you. Your questions were wonderful, and I think we both got to the heart of the matter a couple of times during this talk. So it's beautiful. Thank you.